Joining me now on this episode of Locally Sourced EP is one of the half owners of the Sunland Park BBQ Company, Mr. Gabe Escandon. Sir, how you doing today?
I'm doing great, man.
I
Beautiful Saturday.
Taking we were just talking right now, telling me that you ended your shift from the food truck there on your way home, driving safely,
right?
hands free.
Always driving safely, hands free. I got the Bluetooth on, so I have my hands at 10 and 2 or whatever it's supposed to be.
There we go. No, sir, thank you for joining me today. I can't thank you enough for joining me just to, talk about the Sunland Park BBQ Company. Tell me a little bit of, how did you get started in the starting this company?
Well, my wife and I have always been kind of foodies, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
We early on in our relationship, we bonded over the TV show Good Eats that Alton Brown hosts. And we, that was like way back at the beginning of Food Network,
mm-hmm.
when there was like that and Emerald and like some other, maybe 3 other food, shows on there, and they played repeat over and over. And so we started, really getting into like making food. I come from working in the food industry, like from, high school days working at fast food restaurants to, sit down casual restaurants later on. And then I went, into my career, which is, graphic design and web design.
Mm-hmm.
And, but, food has always been something that we, have had a passion for. And we were always like the house that everybody came over to their house for Thanksgiving or Christmas. Christmas, every year we make a prime rib roast. And it's like a tradition that we've been doing for probably close to 20 years right now. And so every year we do that. And we always talked about maybe one day starting a food truck. We went through different ideas we wanted to do. I wanted to do a food truck that was like baked potatoes with all kinds of like crazy toppings on there.
Oh, nice.
Hopefully nobody takes the idea, because I still want to do it one day.
Copyright pending.
Yeah. and no, but if somebody does do it, great on you, because like, for me, I always thought like it would be a great idea because I love baked potatoes, and like just the way that food pairs with potatoes a lot, it's like it's meant to be,
right?
And it would be like, I'm not talking about putting like all kinds of Fritos and things on there. I'm talking about like doing a baked potato with like chile verde on top.
Oh, nice.
Because when you get a chile verde burrito, it usually has potato in it.
Right.
And so it's like ideas like that. And, we were always coming up with these ideas of what we wanted to do. And then when COVID hit, we were at home, and it was kind of like people were dying all around us. And we said, you know what, we got to do something. We got to do it now, because, it was just kind of a reminder of, our mortality and everybody's mortality.
Mm-hmm.
And, you only live once. Why not take a chance? So we were like, let's do this. We tried, we started, in fact, that Thanksgiving, the first Thanksgiving of COVID was like a shock for us, because we didn't have anybody at our house.
Yeah.
And we were like, what are we going to do? And like, do we still make food? And my wife was like, let's make something, and we'll have everybody come in like a drive-through, and we just hand it off to them, all masked up and everything. We were trying to keep, one of my cousins passed away from it. He's younger than I am. And so it was like, it really hit us, the whole COVID thing. And so when we did that, that was kind of like the test, and everybody from the family came by. We handed them off their meals, all packed up.
Mm-hmm.
And afterward, we were sitting back, and we were like, we can do this. Like, this is something that we could actually do. Like, we can do this food truck thing. And so we were like, full force, we're gonna do this. And it's kind of just been rolling since. And we've only been fully operational since January.
Mm-hmm.
And in that time, we went from, prior to that, before we had our food trailer, we were doing kind of like people would place an order and we deliver it to them. So we make it and we take it to them. And then we got our food trailer in November, and it took about a month to get our permits. And then it took us about a month to like get the nerve to actually go out and do it. And then we were like, okay, let's go. And we expected there to be these long lines, but nah, we got nobody.
Mm-hmm.
And it was so dead. And it was very disheartening that we didn't have anybody at we thought people were going to come. And but we were like, you know what, we're just gonna keep at it. And every day, every time that we come out, our goal was every time we went out, we would get one more customer than we did the last time. Yeah. So the first time we went out, we got 0. The second time we got 1, and it was just like that. And every time we were okay. So how many customers did we get last time? I remember when we were like at 12. And okay, so we're like, all right, we're going for 13, and we're good. And then we would get like big jumps, like 15, 18, 25. And then like eventually we were selling out every single time.
Oh, nice.
And it's to us, it's like, it's not really about selling out. It's more about like the reaction that people get to the food.
Right.
And so, our next goal is to eventually have a brick and mortar, so that way we can see people's reactions.
Nice.
And because, that's an important part when you're, any kind of creative person, the reaction that you get from your audience is important.
Mm-hmm.
Some artists are the kind that will just be like, no, I don't want to know what people think. I don't even want to hear it. Right. Because they probably have like hang-ups on getting critiqued. But to me, every time we get a critique, it's information for us to make it better.
Right. Yeah, and you're right. There's a lot of artists that that are like that. They don't want to know. But I mean, I think the really, really good ones are the ones that take criticism the best and make themselves or their arts or whatever they do better. I mean, I'm the same way when I have a video production company, and sometimes I'll get hired to do like weddings or quinceañeras and my goal, like, I know it sounds mean, but one of my goals for stuff like that, events like that, is I want to make someone cry, but in a good way.
Yeah, for sure.
You're right. I want to see that emotion in them. I just don't want them to sit there and watch a video and be like, whatever. I want them to feel. I want to give them chills with my product, and make them want maybe recommend me to someone. But I feel you on your product, Diane. I mean, looking at the photos from your website, your food looks delicious.
Yeah, and we most of the photos that are on there, we actually got, I don't know how this happened, like at some point, because I'm a web designer, so I'm always online.
Right.
And at some point I saw something about this program from Pepsi Cola, mm-hmm. that it's called Juntos something. I can't remember exactly what it was. Basically, it was like together we bring each other up.
Mm-hmm.
And I signed up for it because I was like, yeah, we're Hispanic. Like that was the only caveat to it. You have to be Hispanic, and they were like, yeah, if you get picked, you get help with your digital introduction to digital. Mm-hmm. Kind of like because of COVID. It was like a lot of restaurants. They had no way of selling food anymore because they had to close down. And so they were there was initiative to try to get people to get websites and sell online. And I'm already in that world. So I was like, I'm going to sign up for it. And so we actually got picked for it.
Oh, that's
which
cool.
is really cool. So we're like, I think they only picked 2 places in El Paso, and we're one of them.
Oh, that's
And we didn't get any money or anything like that, but we got was a lot of guidance in from these like professional marketing companies from like New York City.
oh, that's cool.
And we were on Zoom meetings with people that were like in Argentina and Germany and like all over the world, and they're like telling us like, okay, this is what you should do, like just trying to help us like build it up. So we got super lucky, and we're like super grateful for them. They actually bought us a POS system
Hmm.
that we use for Square, and it was like a blessing, a total blessing. Like my wife literally cried on the Zoom meeting when they told us that they were going to buy it.
Oh,
Like
that
she
is
was
so
like,
cool.
I can't believe that this is happening. We thought it was a scam because I got this email out of nowhere,
Uh-huh.
and this lady's like, next Monday we're having our first meeting for blah blah blah, and I was like, what is this? And she's like, oh, it's this program, and I was like, so we got picked, and she's like, oh yeah, like you didn't get an email from us? Like, no, I didn't.
Oh,
So
cool.
for like the first three meetings that we had, we were still kind of hesitant.
Hmm.
It wasn't until we got that box, and we were like, wow, this is real, and we're really lucky. And all those pictures were paid for by them.
Oh,
They had
nice.
a professional photographer come from Albuquerque, and like they were like, okay, uh, we want you to make $250 worth of food, everything on your menu, and she's gonna come and take all these pictures. And we're like, okay, so we're like at a studio or what? And because I work at Access Build, like the building of Access Media, where
Hmm.
we have like a studio there.
Right.
I don't know if you've ever been there, but I was thinking we were gonna go to something like that, but they're like, no, 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 we'll do it in your front yard.
Whoa.
So they brought all these props and stuff and set up all the pictures, and so like all those photos are like professionally done.
They're
And
they're gorgeous, man. I mean, like I'm not
yeah.
kidding. I'm hungry. I'm gonna order some
And
guys this weekend or
some of them are like, in my eyes, not um it wasn't the best. Like the brisket shots to me,
yeah.
like I could have been better on that brisket. Um but what are you gonna do? You can't just cook a brisket in 1 hour.
Right.
It takes 16, 18 hours to make. And so it's not like I could just do it over. So
Right.
I was like, all right, we're gonna get these shots, and then we'll use them or whatever. And then they did some baby back ribs, which we don't even make. Uh, but we're still very fortunate and super grateful for everything that they
Nice.
did for us.
Well, let's jump into the next topic, man. Let's talk about your food. I mean, tell me what some of the stuff you make that's maybe some of the fan favorites or even your favorites. What's some of the stuff you guys got?
So we do barbecue. I like to call it El Paso style barbecue because like we moved to Austin. We did the whole thing that people in El Paso do.
Hmm.
You graduate from college, I'm out of here. This town, there's nothing to do in this town, and blah blah blah. So I got a job in Austin, and so we moved over there, and we lived there for a couple of years, and it was like we were on vacation the whole time because it was we didn't treat it like home.
Hmm.
It was basically just like a really long vacation, even though I was working. Uh, and when we went over there, like my wife used to work at the Rib Hut, and Rib Hut is like an El Paso barbecue staple.
Yeah.
And like when when I grew up, I didn't even know what barbecue was. I knew brisket was what my mom made for the family get-togethers, and put in the big huge like slow cooker.
Right.
And I absolutely hated it because I hated the smell, because it would cook overnight and I'd be trying to sleep just smelling it and like wanting to gag. And so when we moved to Austin, it took a while for us to actually get around to going to barbecue because it's like super touristy over there, and
Hmm.
just to get to a place like Franklin's, locals don't go there.
Right.
It's totally tourist. And there's like other places that are better than Franklin's, that are just little hole in the wall places that you only know if you're local. We went to the guy who actually taught Aaron Franklin how to make barbecue, like his trailer. He has a little tiny trailer. Walked up. This was the first time we went to barbecue. I asked my friend who's from over there,
Hmm.
and I was like, "Hey, where do I go?" And he's like, "Oh, check out this place."
Right.
Like, cool. We got there. It's just a little tiny trailer with a table, and walk up, and right away the guy's like, "Here, taste this," handing out slices of his brisket, and I tasted it. I was like, "Oh my god, that's good!" Like, I thought I didn't like brisket, and so that was when I figured out that I do like brisket. I just never had good brisket,
Right.
and so, you know, spending all this time over there was like a lesson in what taste to go for. And so when we came back and we finally started doing this, we had all these ideas of what we wanted to make. And really, barbecue was the way that we went because it was the most challenging.
Hmm.
Because, like, I wanted to make brisket taste good to me, a person who doesn't like brisket.
Right.
And at the same time, we wanted to make it El Paso, an El Paso flavor, because yeah, we can make Central Texas style barbecue, but we're not in Central Texas. We're in far West Texas. The people in Central Texas, they don't even consider us part of Texas.
Yeah,
Like,
that's true.
we're Mexico or New Mexico, but we're not from, we're not in the same state. And so, you know we set out to make barbecue that is cooked their way in the style of Central Texas, but has flavors that are unique to El Paso.
Hmm.
And so, we get everything here. We use pecan because pecan is readily available here.
Hmm.
I know a lot of people prefer the taste of oak, of post oak, but that's a Central Texas thing. You go over there into the hill country, and there's oak trees everywhere. If you're ever driving through Texas and you stop at one of the rest stops that's like, between Midland and Dallas or Austin, there's probably oak trees at the place, and then, like, during a certain time of year, the leaves start to fall, and if you walk, you're gonna slip because those leaves are like super slippery.
Hmm.
Those are oak trees, and they're constantly falling down, and there's so much wood out there for them to use. Here, we don't have that, and so you can't cook with cactus. I mean, I'm sure you could, but it'd be a lot harder to dry it out.
Right.
Uh, but there's plenty of pecan because we got all the pecan orchards. And so, that was the alternative. And to me, it's become not the alternative, but the primary uh, wood that we use because it's so readily available.
Right.
Occasionally, I throw in some mesquite. Uh, if I do, I just start it with that because mesquite burns really hot,
Hmm.
and you can't cook slow with a hot fire. You mean if you're gonna make chicken, great, but any kind of slow cooking, you don't want to heat it up like that. But anyway, locally sourced, the pecan is what we're gonna get.
Nice.
And then over there, it's I think they call it this S SPC or something like that. The rub that they use is basically salt and pepper,
Yeah.
and they'll throw, like, maybe some onion powder or something. Everybody has their little secret ingredient that they use. Well, over here, what is it? What flavors do we have here that are unique? It's like chili.
Yeah.
We're right next to New Mexico, which is like the chili capital of the world. You go 10 minutes north of here, and everything is covered in chili. So we're like, okay, we're gonna use chili instead of pepper. And so in our rubs that we create, it's a rub that we actually make. We don't buy it at the store. We go to Hatch. We get these huge 50-pound box of red chili that's already ground. I tried originally grinding my own chili. Oh my god, it's so hard because like you put it in the grinder, and then when you open it up, this huge mushroom cloud of chili fills your whole house,
Oh wow.
and like you can't breathe or talk or see for hours. But yeah, so we source our chili from Hatch. We go once every 3 months or so to get green chili that we use in our chili con queso, because
Mhm.
that's another staple. And this was the whole idea, was we're gonna make food like we make at our family get-togethers.
Yeah.
And there was always chili con queso with nachos. Somebody always made tostadas, somebody made chili con queso, so that's on the menu. Uh, and we turned it into nachos, and nachos was really what got us started at the beginning. The
Hmm.
nachos Rio Grande is what we call it,
Yeah.
because in honor of Rio Grande, the river that runs through town. Uh, my wife at first was like, "Are you sure you want to call it that?" Because Rio Grande has kind of a bad rep, and I was like, "No, that was back in the day. Today the river's clean." Uh, but the ideas are really big, and they were huge, and that one was kind of from when I was a kid. My dad was an avid golfer, and I would love going with him golfing on Sundays.
Yeah.
Not because I like golfing, because I don't. To me, it's boring. But what I did like was after golfing, we would go to the clubhouse, and they sold this big plate of nachos.
Nice.
And he would always get me the big plate of nachos, and I remember that being like, you know, the greatest thing in the world. And so that's one of the items. We're like, oh, they're gonna make big nachos, to in homage to that.
Right.
And so, every item that we have is something that was, originally either inspired by or actually something we would see at a family get together. We used to make sopita, which you know was good,
Hmm.
a good seller, but not good holding time, because the pasta tends to get mushy
Right.
after a certain amount of time holding it. Um, so we morphed that into a green chili macaroni and cheese, which we can make fresh every time by cooking the noodles al dente first
Yeah.
and keeping a hot thing of water that we can actually finish them in right before
Yeah.
serving them. So this way, it's not sitting there and getting all dried out.
Right. Right.
Um,
Well, let me ask you this. What are some of the staples with you guys that you guys sell? What is some of the stuff that if you give me like three plates that or two or three plates
I think
or dishes that
number number one is definitely brisket. Anything brisket. The way we do it is like you choose your meat, and then you put it on anything you want.
nice.
So brisket, like, and it's weird because it's like depending on the day and the type of people that are showing up that day.
Hmm.
Today was like all brisket sandwiches for some reason. I don't think I sold a brisket sandwich in the last 2 weeks. Like, but today it was all brisket sandwiches. It was weird. It was like after the fifth one, I was like, we are in the matrix. Like it's like everybody's all connected. Like today's
Right.
brisket sandwich day. Uh, but yeah, like our brisket is has to be the number one, just because we spent so much time trying to get that thing right. My family ate a lot of bad brisket to get to where we are.
Right.
Uh, so anything with brisket, and then our nachos are a big hit. We haven't been promoting them as much just because it's kind of like a we I don't know, they're really big. And so most of the time when people order them, they're like, oh my god, this is a lot of food.
Right.
So we actually made a small version and a middle-sized version of them, but people love that.
Nice.
And then the third one would probably be our pulled pork carnitas.
Nice. That
So
sounds good.
that one is like close to my heart, because like everybody makes pulled pork, and they all do the same thing. It's like you season it, you cook it, you wrap it, and then you pull it, and everything falls apart. Well, what I do is I season it, and then I cook it in the pit
Hmm.
in a steel basin, so that way the fat renders and stays in there and it fries in its own fat.
Oh,
I
nice.
put it right next to the fire, so it's right at the heat source,
Hmm.
and it boils, and so you get the crispiness from that carnitas are known for, but you have the smoky flavor. And so it's
Wow,
you know,
that sounds really
some
good.
people call it pulled pork, but we call it carnitas because it is carnitas, and like
Right.
you know, our carnitas tacos are like,
Dude,
yeah.
I'm hungry. And then what's your last one, man? What's your last one here?
Pan dulce bread pudding. It's a dish that my wife came up with, and this one embodies the entire our entire mission statement of capturing flavors and our culture. She came up with this. I don't know how she came up with this idea, but basically we go to a bakery here, Los Arones. It's a restaurant. They have a bakery on the side. We
Mhm.
get their conchas, the pan dulce conchas.
Right.
And it's funny because every time we go in there, we order like 50 of them, and the guy who's next in line will be like, "Ah, he just took all the conchas."
Dude, I'm
But
looking at I'm looking at a picture of it on your website, dude.
yeah,
It looks delicious.
it is, and so she dries it out for several days,
Hmm.
chop it up, make a custard, bake it all together so it's kind of like a cake,
Right.
but it's very creamy and
Nice.
and like and it's super unique,
Yeah, it
because it's
looks like it is. It looks really good.
and the one you're probably looking at is the chocolate one. The
Uh,
chocolate is There's a chocolate and there's a vanilla that we make. Well, right now we're doing pumpkin spice flavor for the holidays, and
that's
like
cool.
I'm not a big fan of pumpkin, but she made it to where it's just a hint of pumpkin,
Oh, nice. Yeah, I don't
and
like the
instead of
overpowering thing. Yeah.
yeah, it's just a little hint, and it's really good. And normally she makes a regular, just a whipped cream that goes on top. She makes that, and the candied pecans. Well, with this one, she made whipped cream cheese for
Oh,
the top. And man, it's so good. Like, and then we have ideas for the other holidays coming up too.
oh,
So
cool. We'll keep
we're not gonna,
yeah,
yeah,
we'll
we're
keep
not gonna
that.
let those out yet. But
Yeah. No, that sounds the Gabe, that dude, that sounds so good. And before we go, I gotta ask, man, where are you guys located? How can we get a hold of you? I mean, where can we get a hold of you to order some food, man?
we are on the west side, close to Crossroads, in front of Chuco Cigars, 8026 North Mesa. You can order on our website, or you can call us and order. Uh, the easiest way to get a hold of us is through social media because that's how everybody communicates nowadays.
And it looks
Uh,
like here from your site, you're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and on Yelp as well, right?
and Yelp, and now TikTok.
Oh,
I
TikTok.
did a TikTok. I did one.
Oh, dude, I'm gonna follow you, man. I'm gonna follow you. So I'm gonna
There'll be
watch. I'm
more.
gonna check out your moves, man.
Yeah, we did one TikTok, and it's just me driving. Actually, it's
No,
funny,
no,
just
that's
like
cool.
this.
No, man, but I mean, everything looks so good, Gabe. I mean, I can't wait. I'm gonna we're gonna try. I'll try to head out there soon, man, to get some food from you. I'll probably see if I can sell you out myself, because me and my wife
Yeah, well,
we're big barbecue eaters, so we got you, man.
we're set up Wednesday through Friday from 6 p.m. to 11 or 10 p.m. and then Saturdays from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. or sell out. Like today, we're probably going to sell out
Nice. That's
soon
always a good
because
thing.
when I left, there was only a little bit left. Yeah.
Nice. All right, now, Gabe, I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much for joining me today. Anything you'd like to add or say before we end today, man?
I mean, for everybody out there who feels like how that feeling of you want to leave because there's nothing here to do in El Paso, like it's up to us to make things happen.
True.
We left and we learned that yeah, there's other things out there, but we have the ability to make them happen here. And it's all of us together doing things to make that happen. That's what this is all about. So
Wise words from a wise man. Gabe, thank you so much for joining me from the Sunland Park Barbecue Company. I'll make sure I include all your information in the description below, sir. And we'll get some eating going on this week, man, maybe.
All right.
All right, Gabe,
Sounds
thank you
good.
so much for joining me today, man. Have a good time.
You too. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir.